Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is MichelleAna. If you're here for the first time, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back, family. I really truly hope that this video finds you in the most hopeful situation possible. I know that we're all as a body, as the earth, we're just all going through just some real times right now, and I wanted to shed some light to when we're feeling at our weakest. This video is really dedicated to those of you who may feel like you're emotionally drained, tapped out, spiritually done, don't know where to go, what to do. I have felt those very feelings at times in my life, and I realized that those were just very weak moments. And so this video is going to be dedicated to the things that I have learned. It's not everything, but it's a few key things that I have learned when I have felt at my weakest, and how it has helped me to kind of just look at it in a different way. So if you're interested in that topic, just keep on watching. Okay, so before anything, I recently experienced a very just like mentally draining weak moment, and I actually agreed to do a project or actually speak on a certain topic for a live. And I remember feeling like, you know, when you say yes to things, you say yes in confidence, and you are like, I got this. But it's funny that when it comes down to doing the thing, it's not always the case. But this specific time, I was like, oh, I don't know if I could do this. Like, can I really do this? And when I tell you I felt zapped, just mentally, spiritually, emotionally, in all areas. And come on, y'all, like, let's be real with each other. How often do we allow ourselves to get to those moments and we don't learn from those things? Like, what is it that actually caused me to feel that depleted, right? And I'm actually, that's one of the points, but I wanted to first start out with that story because I think that it's important to notice and note that God's strength for my life literally overwhelmed me and allowed me to do what I needed to do. So then it reminded me of this verse. I feel like maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't. And it's found in 2 Corinthians 12 verse. We'll just talk through verse 9 right now. I have it up on my screen. And it says, my grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. And I want you guys to go back and read the whole thing because I kind of like shortened it just to make my point. But I'm not taking away from what it means. And I was like, wow, God, wow. Like, your strength in my weakest moment literally was the thing that I needed to be clothed in. So when I was weak, you were strong. And to me, I think it blows my mind every time I am in those moments and God comes through for me, and it just literally blows my mind every time. So here's some things that I've learned when I'm in that moment, right? So I learned that I can't depend on my own strength. And I have my notes in front of me just in case you see me looking down. I had to learn that I could not depend on my strength alone. It wasn't enough. We have strength, right? Sometimes when we're weak, when we feel weak or drained or just donezo, like, there's always just this little bit of strength that we have to actually show up, right? To actually wake up, to actually move around, to actually get up and do the things that that we're called to do, or like people say, the bare minimum, right? So there is a level of strength, but when it goes, what happens here is that there's this extra mile, or there's this gap that God comes in and provides the strength that we need to do the task at hand, or to speak on the things that we have to speak on. In my case, the more recent testimony was when he came in and he did his thing. Like, I was completely shook myself. I needed to take a moment after that and just lay out and just thank God that once again, his strength was made perfect in my weakness. Perfect, y'all, perfect. And I could not depend on my strength alone. And that's number one. That's number one lesson that I learned when I felt emotionally weak. I literally have to pray like, God, you say in your word that your strength is made perfect in my weakness. So guess what, God? I need you to show up in this moment because I feel weak. And that's when I learned, like, you cannot depend on your strength alone to do the things that we're called to do. And oftentimes it's not even these grand things. It's just actually going about your day and staying focused. Like, God, give me the strength to stay focused. Give me the strength to pray the big prayers, to do the things that you've called me to do. Moving along to number 2, I personally learned in those weakest moments and God shows up that it's like one of God's greatest displays of love for me, because I could have been out here looking a mess, right? Looking disorganized or looking lazy or looking whatever your current situation is. You could have been portrayed as something that is not even you. Your character could have been portrayed as something that you're not even about, right? But God came in as a display of love for you and towards you and covered you so that people didn't see that weak moment, right? And it's not even about laziness. It's not even about being unprepared, but sometimes even when we are prepared, we may not have the strength to show up. And so I felt like the second thing that I learned was it was one of his greatest displays of love toward me for him to say, listen, I see that you're kind of struggling in this moment or in this area, so I'm gonna go ahead and show up, and I'm gonna be your mouthpiece, and I'm gonna be the thing that God sees. You may be feeling this, and you may be even doing these things and these actions that are not Christ-like, that don't look like what I look like, that are just not even about what you're about, but you're having a weak moment. So I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna cover you and clothe you with my perfect strength so that people don't see this flawed moment. And I think that that is such a beautiful display of love, man. I don't know a love like that. Like, I do not know a love like that. For someone to come in and say, ooh, you looking real weak right there, so let me go ahead and cover you. Whew. My God. And then the third lesson, which I kind of touched on before, was just kind of reverse engineering this whole thing. Like taking a pause and saying, how did I even get to this weak moment, right? How did I even get here? Was I not resting? Was I not eating well? Was I not working out? It goes back to lifestyle, right? What was I not feeding my soul that allowed me to become this depleted? So you gotta come with those answers and those responses and say, oh, okay, this is what got me to this place. So now I need to figure out what to do to actually reverse these habits and how I even got here so that I can then be able to show up the best way that I possibly can. And even when we are doing our best on our best days, it doesn't even compare to how God can come in and get the glory out of your life. So we need him on our worst days and just the same as we need him on our best days. Don't count your worst days off or out. Don't count them out because you feel you're worse. Don't count them out because you feel like you disappointed God in your actions, in your mistakes, in the things that you didn't mean for it to look that way, or you didn't plan on doing the thing that you did and yet you did it anyway. And another thing is you actually made the blatant decision to do what you did and you know what you did, but God is still like, I know what you did, but I'm going to go ahead in your weakness. I'm going to literally clothe you in my strength. And this is by any means, I'm actually just specifically speaking to the moments we feel our weakest. I'm not talking about dismissing sin or dismissing things or anything like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm specifically talking about when we genuinely, as human beings, because we are humans, at the end of the day, we're not perfect. When we feel just like done, like done? How did we get there, and how can we reverse those decisions that we've made to get to that moment, so that next time we don't allow ourselves to get this weak or this tired or this exhausted, right? That's real. So I hope that these key points that I've learned in my weakest moments can somehow help you if you find yourself in a weak moment, or maybe even just for future reference, if you have maybe poor habits and you want to just try to apply new ways and methods and strategies for when you're feeling like, I can't do this. These are some things that I do. So I really hope that these can be of some sort of help for you, and if they are, please let me know in the comment section below, because I think that what happens is, like, we feel like we're all alone when we make mistakes, or we feel super weak or zapped or emotionally drained, and we're not alone. We actually have all been there, as much as we want to admit it or not. We are not perfect, and somehow, some way, we've disappointed God. And but He's such a loving and gracious God that I have found myself just wrapped in His strength day in and day out. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Like I said before, I just want to remind you guys that you guys can follow me on all social media platforms at loveMichelleAna, and you guys can actually follow me at The Flourish Effect. I'm going to leave all of the links in the description box below. I actually created a free resource for creatives. If you're feeling stuck, there are some things that I want to help you with to unstuck yourself, right? Sometimes, like in this whole pandemic and just in life in general, we find ourselves just creatively stuck, or we have some sort of like roadblock in our minds and we can't think of things and things to write and like all these different things. And I wanted to create something that was free so that you guys can use and just try to inspire you, so that it inspires you to kind of like really work yourself out of this like depletion of ideas, because I feel like the God we serve wants to literally gift us with so many different things and ideas, but we have to steward those ideas and dreams well and actually execute and do the work. So if you guys want that resource, make sure that you're following The Flourish Effect _, on Instagram, and the link is in the bio to download the video. Thank you guys so much for watching today. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you guys in my next video. Mwah.